Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Derek, and I'm here from Ryerson's International Enrollment Office. Thank you so much for tuning in today to hear from our current students. Really, this International Student Chat series is about hearing from our current international students or graduates and understandings, from their perspective, why they chose Ryerson or what they really enjoy about studying with us. And as you can tell, this chat is really focused on, the application process, the researching, how our students, ended up choosing Ryerson. So we're gonna get started. So now I'm going to introduce our students and we'll begin the discussion. First off, we have Casey. Casey was born in Ho Chi Minh City. She is a second year student in hospitality and tourism management. And fun fact, she can't get enough of egg fried rice. Everyone, please welcome Casey.
Everyone. My name
Hi.
is Casey, and I'm in second year hospitality and tourism management. I'm actually living in Ho Chi Minh City right now, but I'm calling you from Hanoi, Vietnam. I'm on a vacation.
Thanks for joining us, Casey. We really appreciate it.
I'm also a part-time barista, and I think what kept me engaged during the pandemic, I think most of you guys can relate to this. Like, I bake a lot and I Chloe ting a lot, like trying to get those apps, but like because all the pastry that I baked, it just kind of like ruined all my efforts to get those apps. But yeah, that's about me.
Thanks, Casey. Next, we have Chio. Chio was born in Mahat, Dominica. He is a fourth year student in medical physics. And fun fact, Chio carried the Queen's Baton for the 20th Commonwealth Games in Dominica's segment of the relay. Everyone, please welcome Chio.
Hey everyone, my name is Chio. I'm in my fourth year of medical physics and I'm currently joining from Tong Tong, Toronto, Canada. One thing that kept me busy throughout I started cooking more often as well because to me that's a good way to procrastinate and kind of satisfy yourself. And I used to do track, but unfortunately there's no OUA sports this year, but I still kind of just use it as a way to keep active. So I have my home workouts and everything. That's pretty
Amazing.
much it.
And for anyone who doesn't know what OUA is, that's our provincial kind of competitive sports at the university level. Chia, is there any type of dish that you've mastered throughout quarantine that you're really good at cooking?
I wouldn't say master because I've just been trying a lot of them, but I think my jambalaya is getting pretty good. So I would say that
Amazing,
one.
amazing. Thank you. We'll now introduce Nia Christian. Nia Christian was born in Nassau, Bahamas. Now is a fourth year student in interior design. And fun fact, she's been able to swim with sharks, stingrays, dolphins, and pigs. Please welcome Nia Christian.
Hi. So one thing that's been keeping me active and keeping me going through quarantine has been making banana bread, banana pancakes, and also, like Casey said, Chloe Ting. I've been trying really hard to, keep the the physical like movement going just so I don't feel like I'm just seated all day. So yeah.
Amazing. Question, how do you swim with pigs?
So you go up to the little pig island and you're on the boat and the pigs actually swim up to the boat and you can get off of the boat and swim with the pigs and feed them like
Wow.
carrots and like hot dogs and stuff like that.
Where is
Yeah.
this?
In the Bahamas. In
Hello.
Exuma though, not Nassau. Yeah.
Okay. And are you currently in Toronto or in the
Yes, I'm
Bahamas?
currently in
Okay,
Toronto. Yeah.
great. Amazing. Thank you. Last but certainly not least, we have Teniola. Teniola was born in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. and graduate from our public health and safety program. I've been able to work with Teniola for a few years now. She was a student ambassador with our office, doing campus tours and participating in our big events for guidance counselor and international students. So without further ado, please welcome Teniola. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, thank you. Something that's been keeping me busy during quarantine is cooking as well. Okay, so a dish I feel like I've mastered is shrimp pasta. I've been making a whole lot of that.
Wow,
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, we got a lot of top chefs here. And yeah, so you'll notice that Daniela actually has graduated, and maybe let us know what you're doing now.
Okay, now I'm doing my master's at the University of Western Ontario. So I'm doing my master's in the management of applied science.
Amazing, thank you. So now we're gonna move into these formalized questions. Which countries were you considering, and um, what made you narrow in on Canada?
So actually, I was considering between Canada and the UK, but like so the UK, you know, their educational system, they have like 13 grades instead of like 12. So like if I want to go to the UK, I just have to take like a foundation year of like English program and like the knowledge gap between like my education system and theirs. So like I was like I want to jump right into my like my major. I don't want to do math and like physics anymore. So like yeah, so that's why I just decided to choose Canada right away.
For me, I kind of debated between the US and Canada as well. So what made me like drawn to Canada more, my sister is in Canada already. So I was like, okay, she knows. Like I have someone who can tell me like give me advice. And then another reason I chose Canada, just based on the actual program at Ryerson. So I kind of researched the program, and the interior design program at Ryerson is like one of the top ones in the world. So I was like, okay, I'm definitely gonna try to go to this program.
That's awesome. Is your sister in Toronto as well?
Yeah, she is. She is.
Cool.
Yeah.
So
She
keeping it
was
with the
in
family.
Halifax before, and then she moved to Toronto to be with me this year. So
Amazing. That's awesome. How about you, Chio?
Uh, Honestly, it was mainly Canada, to be honest, with a hint of Trinidad if I wanted to like stay in the region. And for me, I visited in 2015, especially like downtown Toronto. Like I saw the Ryerson campus and stuff. And I just kind of saw myself there, if that makes sense, you know? Um, Especially, I don't know, there wasn't much appeal from the US to me. And honestly, I could only think of Canada. I just kind of liked the whole diversity of downtown and everything.
For me, it was more like so before I came to Ryerson, I was at CIC, Columbia International College. So I did 1 year there. And okay, before that, I was in Nigeria. And honestly, it was just like a lot of like people we knew, like my family knew, went to CIC after they graduated from secondary school. So it just kind of seemed logical. I guess it was just more of a word of mouth thing and
Mhm.
something that was just very common in Nigeria at the point. So yeah.
I imagine as an international student, there's so many options to choose from. The US has some really renowned schools. In some cases, the UK might be closer to you. I think what I find when I'm speaking to international students, Canada is increasingly becoming a really premier destination. I think primarily because of the climate in terms of like socially, politically, economically. Unfortunately, our weather climate isn't always the best, but Toronto is, one of the warmer cities, and to experience all four seasons is I think it's cool. But if you come from a warmer country, of course, you'll have to bundle up. Another really fantastic thing about studying in Canada is our post-graduation work permit, which allows you to stay in Canada upwards to, I believe, 3 years to to continue to work. So those are just some really cool things about Canada and generally considering schools across our country. How did you research and compare schools? So were there any important websites or resources? Did you use any like counselors or agents when you applied?
But a resource I really used was just really going on the school website. And like for Ryerson, I was really interested in like the public health and safety program because Ryerson is one of two universities in Ontario, I think, that offers public health and safety as an undergraduate degree. So that was something that was very, very like appealing to me because other universities just offer it for like a master's degree. So it was just mainly me
Mhm.
just researching on the like, on the school website and seeing what they had and being interested in that program and then getting back to my guidance counselor like this is what I'm interested in. And I applied to other schools, but then I was very interested in that program.
Amazing. Yeah, I think it's cool that all four of you are studying really unique programs that you might not be able to find in universities across Canada or even internationally. Chio, I know you said Canada was, your main destination. Um, did you, and you saw yourself in downtown Toronto. I'm curious, maybe can you talk a little bit about what was it about Toronto that you really liked and how you came across Ryerson?
For me, it's really the diversity aspect. Just like, even just walking along, even just Young Street, you see a variety of different like cultures in terms of the food as well as, representation. And personally, like coming from the Caribbean, like the Caribbean is pretty diverse. And I just wanted something that matches it. And based on research and I was kind of on my own, to be honest. And I was just looking at schools and everything. And I finally chose Ryerson when I went on their website and I saw they offered medical physics. At first, I didn't really exactly know what it was. So, I went to research what exactly it was and, what I could do with that program, especially because I don't like biology that much, but I wanted to be involved somehow in the medical field. And I really love physics. And Ryerson is one of the few universities, especially in Ontario, that offers it like at the undergrad. So I actually knew what I was getting myself into.
Awesome. Nia Christian, so what was like? I know interior design is something that not many universities um, offer as a bachelor degree. So I imagine, maybe tell us, I imagine your options are a bit limited, but what was it about Toronto and were there any nerves that struck when, you know, committing to Canada?
So for me, I there were definitely some nerves when I committed to Canada, but I did apply to one school in the States. I applied to SCAD, I applied to George Brown and Sheridan, and they all had different kinds of interior design programs. So even if you looked on each program website, so for example, the Ryerson website, the course descriptions were kind of, it seemed more fun and more appealing and like more interactive, and like seeing videos on YouTube, like for me YouTube was a really big resource. There was an interior design student who actually vlogged like every, like I think it was like every month of his experience in interior design. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to be in the city, I want to do this program, it looks so fun. So that's kind of how I came to Ryerson as my conclusion. Yeah.
Casey, I know you had a similar experience. I know you mentioned to me that you really looked like use the internet to research and find schools. Did you also find like YouTube was a great help?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and also I choose resident like Toronto because I want to live in like a more dynamic city, because I have a chance to visit Vancouver like before I went to university, and it was a great experience. But like Vancouver is like all about nature, and like I want to be something like more dynamic, like faster, and like yeah. So that's why I choose Toronto and then Ryerson.
Amazing. Yeah, I think you all bring up really good points because, you know, there's so many options in Canada, and I think it's really awesome that you all applied to different schools. It's good to keep your options open, and you know, you start applying in the fall. You don't hear back until the new year. Like there is quite a decent time in terms of between when you apply and when you have to decide. So for the students tuning in today, I think it's good to look at your options. Or Canada generally has some really great schools. And Casey, when you talked about you know, nature versus city, like it's important to also look at where you're studying, which city you're in, what the campus is like. I think what I loved about going to Ryerson was how unapologetically urban it is. Like you're right in the downtown core. You're in Canada's largest city at Canada's busiest intersection, Yonge and Dundas. And you know, for some, that's not going to work. Some people like the small campus. They want to be close to hikes and the ocean. While Toronto has some awesome green spaces, we're on Lake Ontario, which is one of the largest lakes in the world. Um, but you still get that big city hustle and bustle. And you know, I think where you study is just as important as the school and the program. We're gonna move into now the application process. Just curious to hear from all four of you. Maybe we'll just go one by one in terms of which application you used. Did you use the Ontario University's application center, OUAC application, or did you use the common application, the common app?
Yeah, I use OUAC. I think it's
OUAC,
the
yeah.
105F.
Mm-hmm.
I also use OUAC for like the Ontario schools, but I did apply to Dalhousie in Nova Scotia and
Mm-hmm.
Memorial as well. So I kind of had used their website on. I
Mm-hmm.
was kind of a bit more confusing than OUAC, but I managed.
So I used OUAC as well. And I think in OUAC, you had the option to apply to like you create different applications at once. So it makes it kind of seamless for
Mm-hmm.
when you're applying to different schools and colleges.
Mm-hmm. And Taniela, I imagine studying in Ontario.
Yeah,
You,
I used OUSC as well. Yeah.
yeah.
And I was able to like apply to like different programs within like I think you can even apply to like different programs within the same university. And like it just gives you so many like options. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And maybe I'll further dissect, you know, the different options for our students joining us today in terms of applications. You can apply through the Common App, which typically is used for colleges and universities in the United States. So you will see us on there. And if you are applying to quite a few schools on the Common App, then it might make sense to actually choose that application process. I'll note that at Ryerson, the OUAC, the Ontario University's Application Center, is actually our preferred method to apply. So this system, it's a centralized system, which Gio mentioned, has all of the Ontario universities, whereas out of province, it'll be different. So if you're looking at schools in British Columbia or on the East Coast, they may have their own independent applications or they might have a similar system. So within this centralized system, you'll be able to apply upwards to 3 programs in the base fee. So that means that you can choose at Ryerson, you can actually apply to 3 different programs. So say you're interested in a few different things like engineering, computer science, maybe it's professional music, which is actually one of our newest programs that we'll be launching in 2021. You can actually apply to all 3. You'll be equally considered, and you could potentially receive 3 offers of admission. So that's specific to Ryerson. Every school does it a little bit differently, and we always say check with the school that you're considering so that you can know like their processes. But also like with that base fee, you could also apply to 3 individual schools and be considered. Chio, you mentioned there was a little bit of that the OUAC could be a bit more complex. Maybe are you able to just quickly talk about, you know, what maybe where was a pain point for you so that our students joining, they'll know kind of what to anticipate and what to prepare for in terms of any elements of difficulty.
I think just doing the whole kind of process on my own. Some
Mm-hmm.
of the terminology wasn't that like familiar. Like probably like we don't use it in the Caribbean
Mm-hmm.
system. So like some of the stuff that I can't remember offhand now, but for example, some of the sub headings or like some of the stuff they required, I would look at that like, do I actually have any of those things when I just knew it like for like another term or something different. But eventually just kind of doing more research, just Google, honestly, just Google everything if you're unsure. You'll be surprised what comes up. And in the end, I found it much quicker than like going, like for example, directly applying to like Nova Scotia and those. So in the end, my Ryerson application was actually like the first one complete and everything. So I think it's very convenient to use in the end.
We talked a bit about the application process. Um, I'm wondering, maybe just going through, what would you say, like, could you give yourself, your younger self, one piece of advice, looking back on the process, if you were to, do it again and reapply? Maybe if you could each tell me like one thing that you wish you would have known, so that you can part some wisdom on our guests.
Okay, so one thing I would tell my younger self is don't stress. Like don't stress about like the process and just be confident in yourself that you make the right choice for you and that you choose the program that's right for you and the school that's right for you. Yeah.
Hmm.
For me, specifically with the application process, piece of advice I'd give to myself is it's okay to do your application in different on different days, step by step. You don't have to sit down one night and do the entire thing and get it done. You can save where you are and come back and
Yeah.
upload what you need to upload. Like you can take it step by step.
Yeah, definitely don't wait the night before to get your application in. As a reminder, February 1st is the deadline, but it's a good point. It's like, I mean, everything in life, if you do it incrementally, it's going to be so much easier. Casey, how about you?
Yeah, I think I'm similar to Taniola. Like, don't stress. Like, believe that you can do it because, like, actually, the process is not that hard. You can find like many resources on the Ryerson website or the OUAC deadline website that will help you like apply. And I think like because I did it, I think all by myself, and I think yeah. So but by that time I was like I was afraid that I cannot do it. I didn't say that did I miss something or like yeah, but I think it's same as Daniel, like just don't be stressed.
Thank you. And Chia, how about you? What's one thing you wish you could tell your younger self?
I would say ask more questions, especially like to the universities, because at the end of the day, they really want you there, and
Hmm.
the especially the earlier it is, the like more like the quicker the responses are because they have less people to deal with. So I would really say get started on the application. You can do it incrementally, but it's always good to start early so that you can ask those questions.
That's a great point. It's like, um, I feel like students sometimes they internalize these questions or they're afraid to ask. And, like my job and everyone on my team, we're here to support. We're here to um, really help give you all that information. It's already a tricky process. So um, don't feel like you're, afraid to ask any of these questions. We do have to wrap up. I'm so sorry, but I do want to, maybe we'll end with one last thing that all four of you can answer. I see the last question here is, how did you find your transition from high school to university? What should we watch out for?
So for me, I would say I think the biggest like issue with the transition is just being in a whole nother country, sometimes being there by yourself, which is kind of scary at first. But then keeping contacts with like your family, be your friends, and just taking it slow, like taking the transition process slow, like it will happen with time. Like you will be fine. Just reassure yourself that you'll be fine. And things to watch out for. Honestly, I would say get involved as much as you can because for two reasons. First, it helps you feel not so lonely because you make friends and you're with people all day. Two, it also helps you build your resume while you're in school. So you're doing things that are actually beneficial to your future, things you can put on your resume. You're, having achievements and you're being involved with so many different things. So I would say, yeah, watch out for that. Ryerson is so cool in the sense that like there's always something going on. Like there's always something you can be a part of. Like so try not to make like your university experience just class and home. Class and home. But I mean now it's kind of tricky with the virtual school. But yeah. Just get involved.
Yeah, it's very tricky, but hopefully, hopefully the vaccine's out there somewhere, and I know eventually we'll all be returning back to school. I know, Casey, you mentioned, you're in Vietnam, so the time difference can be a lot. Do you want to tell us one thing that about your transition from university to high school?
So actually for me, I was a little bit too confident to be honest because like at first in high school I have like 13 courses, like 13 mandatory courses. So like when I went to university, I was like, oh, only 5 courses. Like this is so easy for me. but like, but like, and then like after the first, like in the first week, was like, yeah, it's okay. It's just first week, and I was chilling, and then second week was like assignment, assignment, assignment. It was like, yeah, I was being too confident. So I think you guys should like not stress out because it's not that bad, but like you shouldn't be too confident because like 5 course in university is different than like like 5 course in high school. I don't know in how is it in other countries, but like it's different. And also like I think you should check like D2L more since now it's like online, and you should because they have like they include like a lot of like the calendar so you know what the due dates, and like also read your course outlay because there's some professor they won't tell you that this assignment is due this day, but like you have to know because it's in the course outline. So yeah, just be prepared and don't stress out.
Yeah, they generally, I think when I was in university, which maybe I'm dating myself, I'm not that old, but um, they used to say like, because your lectures, typically you'll have like 3 hours of in-class time per course, and then I feel like they used to say like give another 3 hours for your coursework. Maybe that's a lot, but essentially like if you add it up, like that's like a full-time job. So I think it's a great point. Like manage your time, allocate your time. 5 courses doesn't sound like a lot, but then like they're structured differently than high school, no matter where you studied high school. So great point. Chia, how about you? What's one thing that you would want to talk about for transitioning?
For me, coming from a very small country, like population close to 60,000, walking into a first year course with like 200 plus people in a hall was like very intimidating because I'm
Mm,
used to, let's say, about 30, 40 kind of. And it kind of just felt like knowing myself, I wasn't going to ask questions or you didn't want to feel embarrassed if you didn't know something. And that really holds you back in first year because you're kind of just in that shell that if you don't understand it then and then probably, being international, you don't really have anyone to explain it to you. So sometimes you just go the entire, like until midterms or even the entire course not understand something because you're too shy. So I would definitely recommend looking out for that and going to office hours. The first one might be a bit intimidating, but usually they're very accommodating and you'll find yourself just going often. Like now, usually if I'm walking past the faculty of physics and I remember an assignment or something, I'll just drop by and see if like one of my professors have time. And I really found that more helpful because it saves me time when I'm studying or doing assignment rather than being stuck for hours, just frustrated.
yeah, that's a great point. I also like in my experience, I found having friends in the program is also really beneficial because they're in it with you, and you can ask them those really small questions that you might be afraid to ask the professor. And I know, acknowledging, going into a virtual year, if it is virtual next year, that hasn't been confirmed, but if it is that way, it can be difficult. And doubling on that, being an international student, that's very difficult. And so definitely also take advantage of the services that are offered through our International Student Support Office. They host programming for orientation week and then throughout the year to ensure that you not only are doing well, like mentally and academically, but as well that you have a community at Ryerson amongst other international students and other people at Ryerson. So closing off the webinar, we'll go to Nia Christian. One thing about transitioning from high school to university.
So for me, the one thing that I would say with my transition is because for me, I moved from the Caribbean to Toronto. So that it's a culture shock, one, but it's also like there's so much to see, so much to do. So that first semester was like, there's so much happening, but you have to remember like your courses are also what's happening. So you have to focus in, like, even though there's like stuff going on, there's always like, for me, like I'd be walking past class in Young and Dundas, and like there'd be some pop up in the middle of Young and Dundas, like cool event going on. I'd be like, oh my gosh, and stop for like, I'll be like, okay, 5 minutes, and then you're late for class. So you kind of have to like take in that this is a city where things are happening, and you have to remember like, okay, things are happening, but in between my courses, not before my courses. Yeah.
Absolutely. I know it's hard. Like if you're like me, I want to, soak up the city and explore everything, but it's good to, remember, keep your deadlines in check so that you can, you know, put school first and then have fun. Time management. It's all about time management. Thank you so much, all four of you. I think this has been, on my end, it's been lovely to connect with you all, and I hope that our students joining us have found your wisdom very helpful. I wish you all the luck for midterms and your finals, and I hope this isn't the last time we connect. Thank you. Take care,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you. Take
Bye.
care. Bye.
Bye.